Hi, this is a re-upload of a video I posted earlier today. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on why that is. A lot of people came forward in the comments saying that the artist mentioned in the example of today's scam is actually a scammer themselves and may or may not have falsified the entire situation to generate engagement. The latter claim, to my knowledge, has not been verified. The former, however, does come with quite a bit of evidence to support it, so I have linked that Twitter thread in the description. However, since the scam itself actually is legitimate and has happened to many artists other than Hani, the artist mentioned in today's video, I wanted to keep the video up because the point stands ultimately. However, I did support and endorse Hani quite frequently throughout this video, and if the allegations are true, I do just want to make it very clear that I do rescind that support. Hani, however, is not the only artist to fall victim to this scam, and I still think it's important to talk about. Hey guys, it's Celestia, and I just wanted to make a quick video warning you about a fun new art scam going around. Or kind of a scam. It's definitely a scam sometimes, but other times it might just be a product of the current state of things with AI. It's complicated. Either way though, artists should be aware of it, especially those taking commissions. But I'm being vague, so let me explain. I first became aware of this because Twitter finally gave me a recommended tweet notification that was actually relevant to me and not a very important breaking news post about Justin Trudeau kissing Katy Perry or something. And it was from an artist by the name of Hani? I'm gonna go with Hani, I'm sorry if I'm wrong. It was a screenshot of an interaction they had with a client that had commissioned them, in which Hani had shared a work-in-progress sketch of the client's commission, seeking approval before continuing work on it. The client responded with, "It looks very AI. Can I have a refund?" Hani then made the aforementioned post with the client's name respectfully omitted, seeking advice on how to respond, at which point the client sent 3 more messages saying, "I saw your post. I'm just saying it look weird. Just give me full refund and be done with it?" Hani asked for proof that the drawing was AI. They claimed that the drawing itself was already proof because of the quote, "inconsistent lines and art style," to which Hani argued that just looking at their other art would make it clear that the style was the same. Still, even though they most definitely didn't need to, they offered them a half refund if they really wanted to cancel, which is pretty standard when some work has already been done. The client ignored them completely and just continued to demand a refund, threatening to expose them as a scammer if they didn't receive it, and proceeded to file a PayPal case against them. Hani is fighting the case, but the client deactivated their account, so they've been forced to try to take it up with their management instead, as I believe the client may have been a VTuber. First of all, 2 things. 1, Hani deserves all the support through this, and I've linked their Ko-fi where they accept commissions in this video's description. They have, however, made it clear that they only want people to commission them if they genuinely like their art and not out of pity given what happened, so keep that in mind. That said, their art is amazing, so I can't see that being an issue. Second, a lot of people are blaming them for not watermarking their works in progress and avoiding the risk of this happening, and I don't want this video to further encourage that victim blaming. They've expressed that they don't normally watermark their works in progress because they're very selective about the clients that they accept and genuinely trust them, and that this was incredibly unexpected for them as they've presumably never dealt with anything like this before. This client clearly slipped through the cracks and appeared convincingly legitimate, and they are the one to blame here. But the problem isn't just that this happened, it's that this is apparently a known scam and only one example of many. People are ordering commissions from artists just to get the first work in progress sketch, at which point they accuse the artist of using AI, demand a refund, and then either just get a free sketch and end it there, or use AI themselves to quote-unquote finish it. They're taking advantage of the very real fear of deceptive AI use in the art community to scam and exploit the artists that are already being exploited by AI and living in fear of false accusations. To call that scummy would be the ultimate understatement. It's revolting. A while back, I made a video going over a similar scam in which people were buying sketch commissions rather than fully rendered commissions just to feed the sketch into an AI art generator to get it finished for free, prompting me and many others to indefinitely close sketch commissions altogether as a result. This was already absolute garbage, but even then, human artists were still being paid for the sketches. Now we're not even being extended that luxury, which is just pouring salt in an already festering wound. What's worse is that, as I said in the beginning, I don't think this is even always a scam. I think there are lots of instances in which clients genuinely are suspicious that the art they've commissioned appears to be AI generated, although that obviously wasn't the case this time. Partially because that fear has become deeply ingrained in almost everyone at this point, and partially because it's warranted on many occasions. A lot of people are passing off AI-generated images as their own art to scam clients, something that clients subsequently have every right to be wary of. Artists are now in a really shitty position where we have to both live with the constant fear of being falsely accused of using AI in our work, and understand that the clients suspicious of it have every right to be given the state of the world right now. To make that already miserable situation 10 times worse by taking advantage of it to scam us is hitting a new new low of moral bankruptcy, which at this point I really shouldn't be surprised by, but I'm no less disgusted either way. As artists though, unfortunately, that means we have no way of knowing if a client is making these accusations based on legitimate fears or the intention to scam us, since both are honestly pretty close to equally likely at this point. Either way, the result is the same. We need to be significantly more cautious at every point in the commission process now, and take every possible precaution to protect us from clients demanding refunds on the grounds of suspected AI use, regardless of their intention. That in mind, let's go over some ways to do so. As I went over in more detail in my video discussing how to protect yourself from false AI art accusations, the most reliable way to prove to a client that you aren't using it is to screen record your entire process or utilize the time-lapse feature in programs like Procreate, so that one way or another, every brushstroke is recorded and can be shown to anyone making accusations. Showing sketch works in progress used to work, but AI can fake those now too. And since even sketches are obviously facing those accusations now, it's pretty much completely off the table. But sharing those speed paints and time lapses might still not be effective in instances like this, because, I mean, Honey's client had no proof at all to back up their claim, and still filed a PayPal case for a refund based solely on a baseless accusation and their word alone. If Honey had sent a time lapse of the sketch, I can all but guarantee that the client's response would have just been, "That's fake," or "The time lapse is AI generated." And even if that was obviously demonstrably untrue, it wouldn't matter. The original claim was also demonstrably untrue, and it was enough to prompt this entire nightmare. So while I still recommend keeping speed paints if at all possible, which I know is not always the case anyway, given the file size and the amount of space they take up, I don't think even they would be enough to keep you safe from this particular scam on their own. Watermarking your works in progress is one option, although it presents its own problems in the process of partially solving this one. For the watermark to be effective, it has to be very obnoxiously large and obstructive. Otherwise, it can be fairly easily edited out and still fed to AI to be finished as intended. In applying a watermark that obscures that much detail, yes, you're keeping your work safe, but you're also making it borderline impossible for your client to actually see enough detail to be sure that they like how it's looking so far. You may end up obscuring a detail with the watermark that was actually incorrect and that they would have requested you to change, but they weren't able to see it, so it's only noticed later on when it's either significantly more difficult to fix, or worse, when the commission is already completely done. A lot of clients really dislike watermarked works in progress for this reason, and it's hard to tell when one is saying, "Can I please see it without the watermark?" because they're worried in good faith that the details they're missing are not to their liking, or because they want to take the sketch and scam you. And since the former is very valid and a normal, fair concern to have, it's subsequently also very hard to know whether or not to indulge that kind of request. Warning them in advance before even accepting the commission that your works in progress will be heavily watermarked does help, because they're either prepared for that ahead of time and okay with it, or they're not okay with it and simply don't move forward with the commission. But then you've lost a customer over a watermark, and that's not ideal either. If anyone has any advice on unobtrusive watermarking that's still effective in this instance without pissing off clients or making it hard for them to approve works in progress, please leave it in the comments. Regardless, given the circumstances, despite the downsides, I would still recommend doing it, although I also strongly recommend warning clients in advance that it is something you do. I personally think it's worth the hassle and the downsides, and there are always workarounds for good faith, legitimate clients. You could offer to move the watermark to obscure different details, so that they can see the specific areas that they're interested in making sure are accurate. Like if they want to be sure you got a braid in their hair or a pattern on their clothing right, you can adjust the watermark to make those areas visible. And if they seem really legitimate and you trust them, and the watermarking is an issue that will make or break their decision to commission you, you can always make exceptions and negotiate as needed, which is made easier by the next and only other real piece of advice that I have. Start having all of your clients sign contracts before beginning the commission process. I've been doing it for years, and despite my initial fear that it would drive clients away, I've never lost a single one or had them refuse to sign it. I honestly believe that the only reason one would refuse is if they were trying to scam you and it scared them off. If your contract is reasonable and standard, there is no reason for a legitimate client not to sign it. And there are tons of sites like DocuSign and PandaDoc that make it so easy that it doesn't take them almost any time or effort to do so. You should really be doing this regardless of any scam risk. I know it's tedious to write up the base contract the first time, but once it's done, and you can use it for every following client without further effort needed beyond minor revisions. And if you include in this contract that you as the artist agree not to use generative AI in any part of the commission process, and that the client therefore cannot cancel the commission or demand a refund on the basis of suspicion of AI use, you're protected from this kind of scam. I'd also recommend putting another clause in there that none of the art delivered by you to the client, from the works in progress to the final piece, can be altered by or used in the training of generative AI in any capacity, because that's just always good to have made clear. Sure, it can be complicated to actually litigate violation of a contract if a client does scam you anyway after having signed one, but you can. PayPal offers there's the option to include terms of service for business transactions that can be used to include this contract and therefore protect you if a client tries to file a dispute for a refund through them. And platforms like Artistry also offer space for customized terms of service that clients automatically agree to when paying for the commission, which provides similar protection if you place the terms of your contract there. And honestly, it's unlikely that it would even get to the point of litigation, because these scammers are more likely than not going to be scared off by the threat of a contract alone, and will probably end up ghosting you or trying to argue their way out of signing one, which is a red flag that you should never agree to. The use of a contract also means that you have more flexibility when it comes to watermarking works in progress, so if a client really doesn't want any details obscured during the creation process, you can potentially indulge that request with more protection for yourself. If they're willing to sign that contract, it can reasonably be presumed that that request is being made in good faith, simply due to their desire for accuracy and not any malintent. And if it is out of malintent, that'll violate the contract, eliminating their ability to demand a refund. I would definitely recommend taking commissions via a platform that allows you to impose mandatory terms and conditions when it processes them, rather than just via DMs and transfers alone, because it means that the platform has a record of the agreement to those terms in relation to the transaction, and will be more inclined and able to protect you in the event of a scam or a dispute. Even if you arrange commissions via DMs, please consider actually processing them formally elsewhere, this way, if at all possible, especially now. I hate that this is happening to artists. We shouldn't need to be this paranoid, and neither should our clients. We definitely shouldn't need to fear people taking advantage of the fear on both sides for their own personal gain. But it seems like we do now, and it's more important than ever that we take every precaution we possibly can to avoid falling victim to the assholes running these scams. I am so sorry if anyone listening to this has dealt with similarly scummy situations, and I encourage you to do everything in your power to dispute any claims for refunds, just like Honey is doing, who, again, I can't encourage you all enough to support right now. You have no obligation to refund these assholes if they can provide no proof for their claims and you know you're innocent of what you're being accused of. And if nothing else, this situation shows that threats to quote-unquote expose falsely accused artists of being scammers if they don't provide refunds aren't the gotcha moment that they think they are. The community banded around Honey and obviously didn't buy any of that dumbass's bullshit claims. So even if they had exposed them, I doubt it would have been even vaguely effective, given that they're clearly not a scammer. Anyway, stay safe, be cautious, and do everything you can to avoid these scams, even if that shouldn't be your obligation. And clients, if you're suspicious that an artist you're commissioning is using AI, please communicate that to them reasonably and rationally, and only if you have significant, extensive, and compelling evidence to back up your claims. Talk it through, give them a chance to defend themselves, and understand that in almost all cases, they're just as scared of this whole situation as you are. But for now, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Special thank you as always to channel members Joseph Solomon, TC Pratt, Haruki Saluzzo, Extinction Animation, Andy the Hedgehog, Kai the Memer, Jazz, Just Sayori, Stardust, Hailstorm, Darkholder, Another Foxboy, Pale Star, and Cyber Tori, as well as patrons Batman, Kaya Love, Jimmy Shawalker, Kim Yen, Gracie Asar, Gentong, Grace and Xavier, Blah Mage, TC Pratt, Finn, Celine Merriman, Eldritchia, The Stray Dog, Decagon, Jenny Chan, Catbus, Lucy Amajiki, Selena Bibi, Pride Day, Totally Shogun, Insomniac Sleep Schedule, Wing Ting Wong, Marie Greer, Potato, Jazz, Voidwalker, Latte Tabby, Christian Cook, Adam Sorovietz, Doriaki, Varius, Hailstorm, Emo Queen Jules, Lord Darkholder, Show, That's It, Craig, Stardust, Scarlet Frame 234, and The Names Are Gone. And I'll see you in the next one.